yours.
Objects we found in the solar system. They're diverse, they're geologically active, they contain liquid water. Just because they're small, that doesn't mean they're insignificant or they should be ignored. They are where it's at.
To me, that is just the best, the most exciting. You have all of these new worlds to study that you didn't even dream existed just a few years ago. That's space.
We've seen the movie. A huge asteroid heads towards Earth. It smashes through the atmosphere and slams into the surface, sending up a huge fireball and a deadly shockwave. The Earth dies screaming. But this is not one of those films. This is how Earth and humans fight back.
This video here be like all one video, the two missions put into one video.
Planet Earth, a cradle of life floating through space. Or is it? Our planet could be one of the most hostile places in the universe.
Think about what natural disasters befall humanity. Earthquakes, hurricanes, tornadoes, all of these sorts of...
But like when it comes to game difficulty levels, here's what I believe. As the gamer difficulty. Especially after playing Diablo games for so long, which were published by Blizzard Entertainment, by the way. Does it go from easy, normal, hard, very hard, nightmare, then it starts to go into the torment levels, going all the way up to like torment 12.
Doing the math. Designing the tech. And making the plans that could ensure planetary extinction from space.
And I believe only the best gamers can go beyond that.
If you're faced with an opponent, you need to know a lot about them in order to defeat them. Their size, their strength, what they're made of, how they move. Well, you know the same things about these asteroids, but you want to knock them out. To better understand this opponent, Kathy Plesko from Los Alamos National Laboratory travels to Arizona.
You don't
Around
look so good.
50,000 years ago,
Are younger than I
this
think.
was
The
ground
gods.
zero for an impact that left a crater over 550 feet deep. This is Nuclear Crater.
Murder or empire? Neither. I used to worship Elisa the
always
Dromorati
falling
cave.
to stand
There are
on the
gods
end of
there
a
too,
crater
you
like
know,
this
in the
and
cave. They grant
see
wishes if you
the
bring them to
scale
her.
of
So
something
everyone
this
makes
large
love
and
and asks
feeling
for something
this
in return.
small,
No
understanding
wishes of
just
mine granted though.
how much
I'm
energy it
running
must
out
have
of money
taken
and
to
thinking.
excavate
I'm poor
this
myself,
much
you
rock.
know. I did something wrong. You know Hermes. He can be a
It
trickster.
believed that carved out the
But
crater
there are
landed
many
with
gods
the
in
power
this
of a
cave,
hydrogen
all
bomb.
asking for different things. Go hear them yourself.
But the
You'll get my
skyline
last
is
beauty
just
figure.
135
I need to
feet
know if
across.
they're here.
Nuclear Crater is helping
All
us
right,
understand
don't worry.
how speed
Oh,
can turn a
thank
small
you.
projectile.
Remember, be careful where you step, Mysterious. You'll be walking on holy ground.
Asteroid
We'll see
came
about
in
that.
at
If you have questions about the lore of this mission,
muzzle velocity of a bullet coming out
and what revolves around it, let me know in the comments.
of this and just explodes,
I'll try to answer as best I can.
opens up the crater.
Keep in mind that I do not know the entire mythology of Greek century.
But it's pretty windy here today, but that's nothing like it would have been in the shockwave from an impact. Anywhere nearby here would have seen winds of thousands of miles an hour as the shockwave came up.
Scientists calculate there's a 20% chance of such a hit on Earth every century. If an asteroid like this struck today, it could level a city. That research is helping build up of defenses.
So we think that there's a variety of ways that we can prevent an asteroid from hitting the Earth. My colleagues and I at Los Alamos and at Livermore and the other places can use computer models from supercomputers to do very careful, high-fidelity simulations to tell us what's a good idea, maybe what's not a good idea, and then be able to present to policymakers, okay, here's what we can do in comparison to what Bruce Willis could do.
The most potent weapon the planetary protectors offer is a nuclear bomb. Blowing up an asteroid this way has its drawbacks. It risks showering the Earth in hundreds of smaller meteors. But Kathy's team is working on plans that would avoid this risk. They use a nuclear weapon to deflect an asteroid instead.
So one of the things I do study is nuclear deflection. In some cases, and in the near term, there could be a scenario where we might need to shove something fairly large out of the way. And those sorts of things, if they're large enough, we might need to use a nuclear device to do that. We might launch a nuclear device, detonate it above the surface of the object, changing its velocity a little bit.
Detonating a nuclear device near an asteroid vaporizes part of its surface, pushing the asteroid off course. But firing nuclear weapons in space is no use for kids.
So there are some pros and cons to using nuclear deflection. There are some situations where it is definitely an appropriate technology where it may be the only option at the time. But we hope in the future that we'll have other methods at our disposal that are not as challenging diplomatically or politically.
The race is on for our scientists to find ways to deflect an asteroid without using nuclear weapons.
We're discovering more and more about the asteroids, we're understanding them, and we're realizing that there really are ways we can mitigate the destructive effects of an impact on Earth.
This could be the most important scientific endeavor humanity has ever undertaken. And the best way to cancel the asteroid apocalypse could be to take them out before they even become a threat. Our solar system is a dangerous place. Fast-moving asteroids hurtle through space. Many of these rocks are headed our way. Scientists are drawing up battle plans to counter the asteroid threat.
The very first step in understanding this hazard and in preventing this hazard is to find them. Not just the big ones that can end our civilization, but even the small ones that can get us.
Pioneer scientists at the Catalina Sky Survey in Arizona. Asteroid hunter Greg Leonard is leading the search.
We are the eyes for the world on this night at this telescope on the summit of this mountain.
By comparing 4 images of the same patch of sky taken over a 20-minute period, Greg can hunt for elusive asteroids hidden amongst the stars. Because in these images, stars don't move, but asteroids do.
If it's a really bright asteroid, you will see some bright points of light traveling across the hood. You have to kiss a lot of frogs before you get a prince or a princess, and this is the case tonight, as it is almost every day. Here we go. This is a real object. You can see it's moving across the sky here from the lower right to the upper left. We are very, very excited to have discovered one tonight, because this is an object that's approaching near space, likely in the neighborhood of Earth.
Greg's research reveals this 100-foot asteroid could get as close as 630,000 miles to Earth. That's less than 3 times the distance to the moon. And in the future, this asteroid's orbit could move closer to Earth, even onto a collision course. If that happens, we need to be ready for it. The earlier we spot it, the best chance we have of altering its course.
Space is so big and the Earth is so small, and the asteroid would be starting from so far away, that if you just deflected it a little bit, gave it a little nudge, a tiny course correction, by the time it got to where the Earth's region is, it would miss us completely.
To do that, we need to move asteroids off their trajectory. Think of a golf swing. Hook or fade the ball by just 1 degree off the tee, and you'll miss the green completely. Now, scale that up to asteroids. Over time, these space rocks can leave their home turf of the asteroid belt, becoming threatening near-Earth objects 30 million miles away that could one day hit our planet. But if planetary protectors can change the course of a dangerous object by just 1/10 of a degree, it would miss Earth completely. And scientists have come up with a very direct way to do it.
In a football game, if somebody on the defense has seen the quarterback running into the end zone, what do? Boom, hit him, knock him out of bounds, knock him down, do something like that. That's what we want to do with asteroids. So if we send something moving towards an asteroid very quickly to hit it, we call that a kinetic impactor. Slams into it really hard, changes not just the velocity of the asteroid, but also its trajectory.
Scientists have already intercepted asteroid-like objects in space. 2005, the Deep Impact spacecraft arrived at Temple 1, a comet half the size of Manhattan. this spacecraft shot a little probe at the comet. Like a bullet, it slammed into Temple 1, picking up material from the surface. Research into kinetic impactors continues. In 2022, a spacecraft called DART will slam into an asteroid at over 13,000 miles per hour.
That transfer of momentum would change the velocity of the asteroid just a little bit, maybe a fraction of a mile per hour, but over maybe a decade, that change in velocity, even though it's very tiny, would add up to a change in position big enough to completely miss the Earth.
Knocking a giant space rock off course may sound unusual, but astronomers have discovered that space is happening a lot.
We have a lot of traffic driving down the highway and a lot of lane changing going on. Sooner or later there's going to be a fender bender, and that happens in our solar system as well. It's a busy place out there in the asteroid belt. Asteroids will run into each other at many miles per second relative speeds. And when that happens, the sparks fly.
If you started with 2 asteroids and they collided, suddenly you'd have 10 asteroids. Those 10 asteroids are now going to collide again, and now you have 100 asteroids. Those asteroids will collide, and now you have 1,000, 1,000,000, 1,000,000,000 possible impactors for the Earth.
But this war isn't just a numbers game, because asteroids aren't all built of the same stuff. So we're going to need different kinds of weapons to take each type out. Across the world, planetary protectors are developing battle strategies to save us from a major asteroid impact. But there are millions of asteroids in the solar system, and each one presents a different type of threat. Their speed, size, and distance from the Earth dictate their degree of danger.
The more we can really understand about an asteroid, the better prepared we are to be able to defend against it.
This is definitely a case of know thy enemy. We need to know something about the properties of these objects if we have any hope of moving a threatening one out of our path one day.
But scientists are realizing that an asteroid's composition could be the deadliest factor. Knowing what asteroids are made of can help us find chinks in their armor. Marina Brozovic from the Center for Near-Earth Object Studies uses a technology developed during World War II. Radar.
Planetary radar is really like a big cousin of airport radar. And so the same way like the airport radar is tracking the airplanes, we are tracking asteroids that are, hundreds of thousands, sometimes even millions of kilometers away. Another thing that radars do is they tell us about how this asteroid looks like. We want to know what their size, what their shape, what their chemical composition. Seeing the detail that we see on the surface, short of sending a spacecraft, you cannot achieve that. So radar is in a way its own little space mission.
Radar shows that asteroids can be made of rock, metal, and a combination of the two. And this is crucial information for calculating how to deal with them.
Well, actually, it ain't theft without witnesses.
Than a normal rocky asteroid. So an impact from a...
And since there are no witnesses here, it's right for the taking.
Asteroid that was just rocky.
Just as a metal cannonball would do more damage than a similar-sized rock, metallic asteroids could be far more deadly than rocky asteroids. But scientists have now discovered that most asteroids are less like cannonballs and more like vast cosmic shotgun shells.
Most of the asteroids, they're not single object. They're not monolithic, but instead they're rubble piles. So they consist of many smaller rocks and pebbles and grains and pieces of sand. And all this is held very loosely with gravity.
Rubble pile asteroids, like the peanut-shaped Itokawa, probably formed from violent collisions between asteroids. Initially, the rocky debris from these collisions scatters like shrapnel. Then, gravity can draw some of the rocks loosely back together again. The structure of rubble pile asteroids presents a major challenge to our planetary protectors. How can our science heroes save us from a rubble pile?
If the object is a solid mass of metal, it's going to respond to an impact or an explosion in a far different way than if it's just a loosely bound rubble pile barely held together by its own gravity.
Well, they're very, very delicate objects. And so those objects need some special consideration. We can't just go slamming into them necessarily.
Smashing into a rubble pile asteroid would be like kicking a pile of leaves. Thousands of smaller rocks would go hurtling out in every direction. They'd be undetectable, unpredictable, and could continue to head our way. But we have a plan.
This should help.
Instead of using violent force, we could use the gentle tug of gravity.
And that's it for this video. It's a total 22 minutes long and some odd seconds.
And that's where the
Let me know how you like and let me know what your questions are on the lore.
rubble piles of rock may be small,